Hey guys, many Mississippians had big roles to play in the struggle for civil rights, and today we're going to introduce you to one of those. Let's meet Fannie Lou Hamer. Come along with us. Let's go explore. Fannie Lou Hamer was born October 6, 1917, in a place called Tom Nolan, Mississippi. Tom Nolan is in Webster County, not too far from the Montgomery County line. She would grow into one of the strongest voices for civil rights or just human rights for African Americans of her time. In 1919, the Townsends moved to Sunflower County, Mississippi, to work as sharecroppers on the Marlowe plantation. From the time she was 6, Fannie picked cotton with her family. From 1924 through 1930, she attended a one-room school provided for the sharecroppers' children. Of course, it was only open during the time in between picking seasons. Fannie excelled in spelling and poetry, but around age 12, she had to leave school to help her parents. She would pick from 200 to 300 pounds of cotton daily while living with polio. In 1945, she married Pap Hamer, a tractor driver on the plantation, and they remained there for the next 18 years. You've been looking around the Fannie Lou Hamer Memorial Gardens in Louisville, Mississippi, but I think I had rather tell you more about her while you look around the gardens. In 1961, Hamer underwent surgery to remove a uterine tumor. During the surgery, the doctor performed a hysterectomy without her consent. This forced sterilization happened often enough in the African American community that its members called it a Mississippi appendectomy. The Hamers raised 2 children that they adopted. Hey, don't forget, if you like this kind of content, hit that like button. On August 27, 1962, Miss Hamer attended a civil rights meeting held at this small church, William Chapel Missionary Baptist Church. Hamer was impacted by what she heard that day from the SCLC's James Bevel and the Student Nonviolent Coordinating Committee's James Foreman. As she said, for the first time, she was told about rights that she was entitled to, and she planned to claim her civil rights right away. 4 days later, along with 18 other people, she traveled to Sunflower County to try to register to vote. They were denied the right to vote due to an unfair literacy test, and they were also harassed on their way home. The police stopped their bus and fined them $100 because the bus was too yellow. That night, the plantation owner fired Hamer for her attempt to vote. Her husband was required to stay until harvest. The Hamers then moved to Louisville, Mississippi in Sunflower County, where we now are. In June of 1963, Hamer and several other African American women were arrested for sitting in a whites-only bus station restaurant in Winona, Mississippi. At the jailhouse, she was brutally beaten, leaving her with lifelong injuries from a blood clot in her eye and damage to her kidneys and her leg. In 1964, she co-founded the Mississippi Freedom Democratic Party, which challenged the local Democratic Party's efforts to block black voter participation. Hamer and other MFDP members went to the Democratic National Convention that year and asked to be recognized as the official delegation. When Fannie Lou spoke before the Credentials Committee calling for mandatory integrated state delegations, President Lyndon Johnson held a televised press conference, so she would not get any television airtime. But her speech did get airtime afterwards, and you can find it today on YouTube. By 1968, Hamer was a member of Mississippi's first integrated delegation. I almost forgot to tell you that in 1965, Miss Hamer, along with Annie Devine and Victoria Gray, became the first African-American women to stand in the U.S. Congress when they unsuccessfully protested the Mississippi House election of 1964. Hamer traveled extensively and in 1971 helped found the National Women's Political Caucus. Frustrated by politics, in 1968 she began to help provide free pigs for African American farmers to breed, raise, and slaughter. In 1969, she launched the Freedom Farm Cooperative. This cooperative bought up land that African Americans could own and farm collectively. They bought 640 acres and launched a boutique and a sewing enterprise. It is said that she single-handedly ensured that 200 units of low-income housing were built, many that still exist in Louisville today. The cooperative lasted until the mid-70s and in its heyday was among the largest employers in Sunflower County. All the activism and travel and fundraising and speech giving wore her down. And on March 14, 1977, she died in this hospital in Mound Bayou, Mississippi. There's so much more to Fannie Lou Hamer that I really wish you'll do some research and learn a little bit about her for yourself. Thank you.